Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. So, Ruby Dhalla got booted out of the leadership race. And they didn't even have the backbone to say it to her face. And they pulled the typical, documents just slipped out the back door to the right press. Heavy leakage whenever it's something that affects the power core. It's amazing what they do. But the other thing is she's a woman. And liberals got a thing against women. I swear they do, especially strong women. They do. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. That's just my opinion. You got yours? Leave it in the comments. I'd like to know. But let's just go down memory lane, not that long ago.
Then there were 6. So far, we have a half dozen contenders in the Liberal leadership race. And these are the people who have met the party's criteria with the required number of signatures and that first installment of $50,000. However, though, their official candidacy is still waiting for the approval of Elections Canada. In alphabetical order, we have Jaime Batiste, Frank Baylis, Mark Carney, Ruby Dhalla, Chrystia Freeland, and Karina Gould. Notably missing from that list is backbencher MP Chandra Arya. He released a statement yesterday, writing, in part, "Today I was informed by the Liberal Party of Canada that I will not be permitted to enter the leadership race. While I await the official communication, I am carefully considering my next steps." He goes on to say, the decision raises significant questions about the legitimacy of the leadership race and, by extension, the legitimacy of the next Prime Minister of Canada. We did get a statement from the party about their decision. The Liberal Party's Director of Communications, Parker Lund, said in a statement, "I can confirm that pursuant to Section 4C of the National Leadership Rules, Mr. Arya will not be a candidate for leader of the Liberal Party." Now, that section stipulates that a candidate can be disqualified if the majority of reviewers deem them manifestly unfit for the office of leader of the party. Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly has endorsed Mark Carney for leader, and she had this to say in terms of reaction to Arya.
Okay, before I let Jolie give her little 2 cents in, if it's even worth 2 cents. Arya had this huge spike in memberships for him. And what was going on, which I don't really agree with it. Actually, I don't agree with it. And I know that, both sides do it, I guess, right? It is what it is. It's just, I don't like it. But anyways, there were a lot of people that were purposely joining the Liberal Party and voting for him because they figured if they got enough behind him, they could knock Carney off his pedestal and then we could just finish the landslide victory. So I think that had a very large part in why they were so quick to get him out. But listen to Julie.
For me, as a francophone, I thought that what he was saying regarding francophones across the country was unacceptable, and I expect the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada to be fully bilingual, because we are in a bilingual country. We are the party of official bilingualism, and it is at the core of our DNA.
Okay.
And I
watch her face when she turns to walk away.
I expect the leader of the Liberal Party of Canada to be fully bilingual, because we are in a bilingual country. We are the party of official bilingualism, and it is at the core of our DNA.
if that isn't the most pompous look. We're just gonna move on. So anyways, the leaked documents. I'm gonna play a clip about that first, and then we're gonna move on to the bombshell on TV.
Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Serapio. We'll have more on those stories in a moment. But first, to the Liberal leadership race and former Liberal MP Ruby Dhalla. This morning, the Globe and Mail publishing a story about Ms. Dhalla's campaign, citing unnamed Liberal sources that claim the party had sent the leadership hopeful a list of questions. The sources reportedly said the questions raised concerns about possible foreign interference and campaign irregularities. Now, later in the day, the Liberal Party denied their party's questions had anything to do with foreign interference from India. And now to address the questions herself is Ruby Dhalla. Ms. Dhalla, thank you for taking the time and joining us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
So, as I said, the party says its questions had nothing to do with foreign interference. So I was wondering if you might clarify then what the questions were that was being asked of you.
It's internal party matters, so I cannot comment, but they did put forward a set of questions. We have given all of the requested information along with all of the supporting documentation that they requested. I was very shocked to read in the Globe this morning that there are these sources within the Liberal Party talking about foreign interference, and I can categorically say that it is completely false. It is unacceptable. I was born and raised here in Canada. I am running for the leadership of the Liberal Party of Canada and as Canada's next Prime Minister.
Okay, so she goes on and on, but like she's not happy about what she saw. And if you look at her if you look at her carefully, I don't know about you, but I read off of her facial expressions and the emotion that she already knows where this is going. She's seen the trap and she's being pushed to step in it. And she's not happy. She's set up by her own party. Very spineless, weak party. That is so un-Canadian. You don't do this. You don't do this. Now, moving on to the CBC, this is where she actually finds out that she got skidded. She got fired. She got booted out.
Thank you for joining us. Have you received official word yet from the Liberal Party on your disqualification from this race?
I haven't as of yet. It's quite interesting that I turned on CBC News and read your headline that I was being disqualified from the race. I checked my email, my campaign team has, and as of this moment, we have not received any indication from the Liberal Party as to that type of decision, which to me is very alarming and very shocking that there are these types of leaks, from sources that are occurring.
We have just received a statement from the Liberal Party, Ms. Dhalla. I swear this just came into my email. It's a statement by Azam Ismail, who is the Liberal Party of Canada National Director, on Ruby Dhalla's candidacy for leader of the Liberal Party. Today, the Liberal Leadership Vote Committee unanimously made the decision to disqualify Ruby Dhalla. The decision followed an extensive process and review, including interviews, questionnaires, and an opportunity for Dr. Dhalla to directly address the committees. After a thorough investigation, the Leadership Vote Committee and the Leadership Expense Committee, sitting jointly, unanimously determined that Dr. Dhalla was in breach of 10 violations of the National Liberal Leadership Rules, Leadership Vote Rules, and the Leadership Expense Rules. The violations include concerns about alleged violations of the Canada Elections Act, certain other election finance matters, non-disclosure of material facts, and inaccurate financial reporting. The Leadership Vote Committee determined that the violations were extremely serious and accepted the recommendation of the Chief Electoral Officer and disqualified Dr. Dhalla under Section 8 of the National Leadership Rules.
These people have no spine. Who does that? Now, they probably just picked it perfectly and of course sent that email out to everybody so that blanket, so it doesn't look like they set her up on CBC. But this was a setup. This was a setup. This is them using CBC. This is my opinion. If you feel different, make sure leave how you feel in the comments. I'm curious to know, but CBC is not only tanking, they're gaining a little bit of momentum because of all this leadership race and the way that, of course, they're doing party favorites. So they've got their established liberal base out rah-rahing for them. But this to me is a setup. CBC knows they're going to get cut. They've even had episodes in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, where they've discussed it. In fact, they had one episode where they talked to it at length. They had a panel on it. They know they're going to get shut down. And then Saint-Onge doing her thing, trying to lock it in and double the amount, make it law. And then this happens to try and boost CBC. Look what CBC broke a liberal story. No, they didn't. CBC is being used as a pawn to help this little wee WEF group. That's what they're doing. That's my opinion anyways.
I'm assuming this is the first you are hearing this statement. What do you say that it was unanimous, that there were 10 violations of those various rules?
Well, I think it speaks to the state of the Liberal Party of Canada that a candidate who is running to become leader of the party, who is running to become prime minister in our country, is finding out that she has been disqualified on air from an email that the media outlet that she is interviewing with has received. So it is very alarming and very shocking. It is certainly not surprising, because I think the Liberal Party of Canada was seeing exactly what our internal polls are telling us, that my campaign and my team, we were neck to neck with a front runner in the race. They did not want me to go on to that debate stage in Montreal. They certainly did not want me on that ballot. And the Liberal Party of Canada wanted to complete the coronation of Mark Carney. All of the allegations that you have mentioned have been, that you have spoken about, they are completely false. They are fabricated. And I will not allow the Liberal Party of Canada, or anyone for that matter, to smear my name or to smear the name of thousands of volunteers in our campaign.
You said you had an opportunity to present to the committee that made this decision today, correct? What did you say to them?
Yes.
What did you say?
On the committee, they had members from the voting committee, from the expense committee. This committee has been kept secret from all of the candidates. The candidates have been asking who are the members of this committee. It wasn't until today, when I actually presented to them via a virtual call, that I was even made aware of who the individuals were. Neither was time taken for anyone to even introduce themselves. But regardless, no matter what we said and what proof was provided that these violations, were not committed, that this was simply false and fabricated breaches that the party is alleging, they still had a predetermined agenda to keep Ruby Dhalla off of the ballot, to keep Ruby Dhalla out of the debate stage, because they did not want anyone challenging their front runner, their blue-eyed boy, Mark Carney.
Okay, I mean, you make that.
Waka! Pretty good. It's pretty good. Now, I'm not a real big fan of Ruby. I don't know whatever became of this, because nothing was ever said, and she didn't kind of get back into politics until all of a sudden now she's like all in, right? So, but I just figured, just for past knowledge, it's a good thing to know.
Liberal MP Ruby Dhalla resigned her post as Liberal critic for multiculturalism today, vowing that she will also clear her name. Dhalla and her family have been accused of mistreating, even abusing, caregivers hired to look after her mother. The source of the allegations, the caregivers themselves, who say they were hired illegally and underpaid. Susan Bonner reports.
Ruby Dhalla has never had any trouble getting attention. Young, telegenic, the first Sikh woman elected to Parliament. Find a big moment for her party and you'll often find her front and center. Then came this. Published reports that foreign caregivers hired by her family were underpaid, mistreated, their passports seized. The caregivers were hired to work in the Dhalla family home in Mississauga to care for the MP's mother. Documents obtained by the Toronto Star indicate the nannies were hired by Dhalla's brother and mother. But in an interview with CBC Radio, one of the women, Magdalene Gordo, describes a confrontation with Ruby Dhalla over payment.
I was so scared because I know exactly that she's powerful, and then she started to threaten me and everything. I get mentally tortured and physically stressed.
Dhalla has denied it all. She's disappeared from view, promising to clear her name. Her Liberal colleagues are cautious.
There will be investigations. There should be. Obviously, that has to happen.
They pretty much all turned their back on her. I think the evidence was just so overwhelming that the Liberal Party they backed right up. They a lot of them weaseled, which wasn't the fair way to do it. I mean, innocent till proven guilty, of course. And like I said, I don't know whatever became of that, but literally, it came out, and she disappeared, gone. So let's play a little wee bit more of this interview on CBC.
As we discussed earlier today, before I knew about this meeting and before we knew about this decision, we did talk about your past support for Narendra Modi. As this evolved throughout the day, that does not appear to be the reason here at all. Like, that could be one political concern they have. But in terms of my understanding of the allegation against you, where there is a foreign interference component here, and I don't know if this is of the 10 violations that the party has concluded, and I don't know if you know at this point in time, but the claim was
because I haven't even received a letter yet. So maybe during this interview I might have received something, but prior to coming on air, I just heard about the breaches from yourself. I have not been informed as to what the decision of the Liberal Party was, and it was actually through the CBC that I actually heard about the decision of the Liberal Party.
Well, look, I'm sorry you had to find out that way. We were reaching out to your campaign as we were getting a sense of where this was going for reaction, but I appreciate that you don't want to react to something until you know.
The Liberal Party would have reached out to me versus the CBC.
Well, yes. So, I mean, you did speak to them today. You did make your case to the committee today, and clearly it didn't convince them. And I know you say this is a larger effort to keep you off the debate stage to protect Mr. Kearney. But what do you do now? My understanding is you can appeal to the Permanent Appeals Committee of the Liberal Party. That would be a route that is open to you and anybody. Mr. Arya could have done that as well, though I don't believe he did it. What are you going to do, Ms. Dhalla?
I guess I'm going to take some time, first of all, to process what the Liberal Party has stated are the reasons for the breaches, because they have been provided with all of the evidence. If they have a preset, determined agenda, they have the establishment there. Obviously, all of the people that were on the committee are all a part of one team, and they do not want to have anyone challenging the status quo. They do not want to have anyone challenging the front runner in the Liberal leadership race, which I do not understand, because we were in an election, and in an election, it's the talking about progressive ideas. I think it is a sad day today, not only for the Liberal Party, but for democracy, for free speech here in Canada, and also for those that want a progressive policy agenda for immigrants in our country, for people of color, because with my candidacy in the race, we were making history, and it is really unfortunate that the Liberal Party didn't see it as such.
Well, there you have it. She defended herself pretty good. She held her cool, and she definitely threw out a lot of the obviouses, what's on people's minds, and especially what we know about the party. Kearney wasn't just picked. Kearney was already pretty much running the Liberal Party. The more and more people that start to realize that the global, we'll call it the cabal, is real. And they've been trying this since the dawn of civilization. Heck, even caveman years, I'm sure there was some type of dominance, but back then it was usually done through physical strength. This is humanity. This is normal. It's just now, these corporations, these elitists, these families have got so much power that they keep trying to manipulate the system in order to control every aspect of it. So there you have it, everybody. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if she's going to go silent. Who knows? It sounds like she's going to fight back. It's too bad about Arya. Something must have been a little bit off, because he disappeared right off the face of the planet, gone. Haven't heard a word since, other than a few texts that came out, which you saw in that one episode. So there's your update on Daria, and I'm going to make another video here with the Bannon interview for you guys and break that down for you. He says some really interesting stuff for all the people that are stressing about what's on Trump's mind. I hope you liked the episode. If you did, make sure that you punch the like button, subscribe, and share. Don't forget, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a future episode. Until next time, you've been watching Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias to Guide.